Every year, for 19 days, Baha'is all over the world abstain from food and drink, from sunrise to sunset. Fasting is a Baha'i law, one of the greatest gifts of all from God to man. Fasting is a precious gift because it is the greatest reminder. It reminds us of our spiritual reality and the purpose of this physical life. When we abstain from physical appetites, we become sensitive to and are reminded of our inherent spiritual appetites and needs. The human soul, much like the human body, needs nourishment and care in order to survive. The period of the fast increases spiritual perception, which in turn produces a readjustment in our perspective of physical reality. We are reminded that in essence we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but rather spiritual beings having a human experience. This increase of awareness causes us then to reflect and ask ourselves, why am I here? What is the purpose of this physical reality? Why have I been created? The answer to these deep questions we find in the short Baha'i obligatory prayer. I bear witness, O my God, that Thou hast created me to know Thee and to worship Thee. As humans, however hard we may try, we can never fully understand God, because creation does not have the capacity to fully understand the Creator. The chair, for example, is incapable of knowing the carpenter who created it. The painting is unable to understand the painter who created it. Furthermore, a lower kingdom can never understand a kingdom above it. For example, the mineral cannot fathom what goes on in the plant kingdom, or the plant understand the powers that exist in the animal kingdom, or the animal comprehend the powers and mental faculties with which we humans have been endowed. God is that unknowable essence of essences. How can feeble reason encompass the Quran, or the spider snare a phoenix in his web? Too high art Thou for the praise of those who are nigh unto Thee, to ascend unto the heaven of Thy nearness, or for the birds of the hearts of them who are devoted to Thee, to attain to the door of Thy gate. Far be it from Thy glory that Thy creatures should describe Thee, or that any one besides Thyself should ever know Thee. Many ask, if God is unknowable and unattainable, then why should I even try to know Him? Let us consider a flower. Even though it can never reach the sun, still it turns to the sun and grows towards it, towards the light, getting from its rays the information, energy and radiance it needs, thereby fulfilling its God-given potentialities. Likewise, even though we humans can never reach God or understand His essence, we must make an effort to strive towards Him, to follow His light, and derive from the radiance of His word the information we need to become the greatest version of ourselves. The flower belongs to the kingdom of nature and is bound by its laws. This forced obedience to the laws of nature is a blessing for the flower, because it causes the flower to turn to the sun and bloom. Man, however, has been given free will. He has been given the power to choose, and unlike the flower, he is a multidimensional being, bound by both physical laws and spiritual laws. This power of choice causes man to be at great risk. Should he choose to not turn to God, or should he, out of ignorance, disobey his spiritual laws and teachings, then he will deprive himself and others of the inestimable gems, treasures, and talents that lay concealed within him. If the flower had free will and would choose to turn away from the sun, it would surely wither and die. Although a person outwardly may enjoy a life full of health, abundance, and riches, if he does not turn to the Sun of Truth and conform to spiritual laws and teachings, he will become spiritually deprived, and at the time of death, he will cease to exist. He will cease to exist because the eternal essence of God, which has been placed within him, has not been nourished, prepared, or conditioned to survive in the eternal kingdom. A finite being cannot make the transition into an eternal realm. A material being cannot exist in a non-material kingdom. It is important to consider that although our capacity to know God is limited, this limitation that has been imposed upon us is a clear sign of the infinite mercy of God. For if he was ever to reveal himself in his full glory, or even just a little beyond our capacity, we could not bear it. We would become so overwhelmed, so dumbfounded, that we would instantly be turned to nothingness. We would cease to exist. Should the sun ever draw closer to planet Earth, all life would end. The perfect distance between the life-giving sun and the earth is what makes life possible. Being the humans that we are, we always want to know more. We want to know everything. We want to know the full truth. But guess what? We can't handle the truth, and our history proves this. Throughout the ages, every single time God revealed himself to us on planet Earth, through the daysprings of his signs, his holy manifestations, we imprisoned them, tortured them, banished them, and killed them. Every single time God gently increased the light of his beauty amongst us, we turned away from it. We rejected it. And when the set time of concealment was fulfilled, we sent forth, whilst still wrapped within a myriad veils, an infinitesimal glimmer of the effulgent glory enveloping the face of the youth. And lo, the entire company of the dwellers of the realms above were seized with violent commotion, and the favored of God fell down in adoration before him. Although man has been given a limited capacity to know and worship God, this capacity far excels that of any other created thing in the universe. Upon the inmost reality of each and every created thing, he hath shed the light of one of his names, and made it a recipient of the glory of one of his attributes. Upon the reality of man, however, he hath focused the radiance of all his names and attributes, and made it a mirror of his own self. Alone of all created things, man hath been singled out for so great a favor, so enduring a bounty. And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Mankind's collective capacity to reflect the light of God will continue to increase as it has throughout the ages, until the blessed day when this world becomes a perfect reflection of the kingdom of God. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.